For the benefit of Nicky B, there will be a jamboree in Amonkhet. The Gatewatch monks will all be there, late of the Inventors' Fair and Tezzeret. Over men and demons, gods and monsters, lastly through a torment of hailfire. You will see Nicky B will conquer the world. The celebrated Nicky B performs his feat relentlessly at Pharaoh's Gate. The Gatewatch monks will moan and cry as Nicky B flies through the sky. Don't be late. Mr. Nicky B assures the public their survival odds approaches none. And of course, Honker the Croc dances the waltz.
Whew. Some of the spelling on those names don't actually look like what they should sound like. So it's like even if you just stare at the name, there's no way you can actually phonetically figure out what it is until they tell you how to say it several times in a row.
Got any kids named Cumulative Upkeep?
Communitive, no.
That's closer.
Cumulative upkeep.
I think this is going to be a regular segment of the show.
Can Patrick say cumulative?
Can Patrick say any, can Patrick say that word?
Chances are the answer is maybe.
Communitive is closer than what the other thing you were saying.
Cumulative.
Communalaxative?
Cumulative.
Cumulative.
No.
Man, my tongue doesn't want to do that at all.
That's what she said. It's Commander Time! Welcome to Commander Time. We are yet another podcast about the Magic the Gathering format known as Commander. Do we have something funny here?
Just Dean's face.
Hey.
Yeah, but they can't see that. Or hear that, I guess.
I think they can hear it pretty fine.
They're hearing your face. Talking into a microphone. Ha ha ha. Anyway, I'm Nate Burgess.
I'm Patrick Cipolla.
I'm Dean Goody.
Sweet. Today we are continuing our series, Evolve Your Meta. This episode is Anti-Storm.
Hooray! One of my favorites.
Yeah, it's quite relevant today. Then some games, some pets, a goofy song. But first, do we have a but first?
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Yeah, all right.
Shout out to our patron of the week, Mike Adams. The main topic. For this topic, we found some good information on the mtgsalvation.com forums. Dean, did you find any good Reddits?
Nope. Pretty much all the cards I contributed to this list, I just kind of remembered.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, it was from my taxes article that I just went over, and funnily enough, just thumbing through my foils. Yeah, I have a couple of these in foil that are just sitting there, because I just don't play them very often.
Oh, are you gonna?
Maybe. We'll see. Maybe if I make Rurkthar.
Oh, yeah.
Rurkthar is fun. I have one.
So the main topic. Suppose you have an opponent in your meta who really likes using something like Kaideli Chosen a Crewfix and a Wall of Mana Dorks with Paradox Engine, and they play 20-minute turns where they cast 20 spells. What are we going to do about that? So this episode, it's kind of an anti-Paradox Engine episode, as well as just generally anti-Storm.
Remember, it's not sportsmanlike to just flip the table when they start to storm off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then your cards go everywhere.
Yeah, and those can cost a lot of money sometimes.
Yeah. Speaking of things that cost more...
your spells. We could make your spells cost more.
This
yeah.
first category, yeah.
All right. Up first, we have Chancellor of the Annex. It's 4 white for a creature angel, 5/6. it has one of the pre-game effects from this cycle from New Phyrexia. You may reveal this card from your opening hand. If you do, when each opponent casts his or her first spell of the game, counter that spell unless that player pays 1. Has flying, and so long as it's out in the battlefield, whenever an opponent casts a spell, counter it unless they pay 1. So it's kind of like a permanent mana tithe.
Yeah, I think this costs too much, and the pregame effect doesn't really do it for me.
Yeah, I mean, it does slow it down for half a turn or something like that. It's not the greatest, but if you're looking for, a 5/6 body in the air for a Taxes deck, it's not terrible.
Sure, yeah, if that's what you're doing.
It's pretty nice. I've had people cast Soul Ring into this and then just have it get countered just to get around the tax.
It delays everybody by 1 turn, all your opponents.
Yeah, at least.
And that's only if it's in your opening hand, though.
Well, sure.
Yeah, 7 mana is a lot to be asking for this, though.
Yeah.
I have run it. I probably would run it again.
All right, so thumbs up from Dean, thumbs maybe from Patrick.
Yeah, maybe if we could get a right of replication on that.
Oh.
Then it...
Oh, hey.
Oh, my.
Yeah, okay, now I'm behind. This card is a solid, maybe.
Okay. A solid maybe.
A solid one.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe stick a Progenitor Mimic on that guy.
Oh, Dean.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of colors now.
I think I actually shut down one of your decks with this card once, Nate.
Yeah?
Yeah. What did you do? You did something where you could cast a bunch of things and for free, and then this made them all cost 1 more, and you were tapped out. You were like, but I can cast them for free. No.
Yep. Costs more.
Yeah. Up next is Glow Rider. 2 and a white for Human Cleric. So it just says non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. Seems fine. I mean, this is a perfectly acceptable card. It's basically Thalia, only non-legendary.
Yeah, this one keeps on getting reprinted. This is the original Thalia.
Yeah.
And then they printed there's a Bryn Wingmare that does the same thing, but it flies.
Yeah. I mean, so this is an effect that is all over the place, and it's perfectly acceptable. I mean, it's not going to bring people to their knees by itself, but add 2 or 3 of these onto a board, and suddenly you are the target and the controller of the game.
Yeah, if they can cast anything through it.
Yeah. And Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, is 1 and a white, legendary creature, human soldier, 2/1, first strike, non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast.
There's also the artifact version of this effect for Thorn of Amethyst, and that's just an artifact for 2. Non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. So you can start seeing if we start stacking this up on top of each other, just those 3 cards alone will make non-creature spells cost 3 generic more to cast.
It gets pretty nasty.
Brainstorm stops looking so good when you have to pay 4 for it.
Yes, it does. Now, personally, I like to give my opponents options in their taxes. So, Spell Tithe Enforcer is a card that I have used instead of some of these other cards. Spell Tithe Enforcer is 3 white for a 3/3 Elephant Wizard.
Elephant Wizard.
Elephant Wizard from, what is it? Guild Pact, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever an opponent plays a spell, that player sacrifices a permanent unless he or she pays 1.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, I like this card a lot.
Well, it does allow somebody to tap out and then sack a land, though. But
Sure, but I like to give you options so long as all of your options are bad.
Yeah. We can also just go with a more general tax effect with Sphere of Resistance, which would be a 2 mana artifact. Spells cost 1 more to cast. This kind of effect is very prominent in Vintage, actually. So there you go, everybody. Start your collection for a Vintage deck that, that's just expensive. So,
Isn't that what competitive EDH is? 1v1 EDH, basically just Vintage or Legacy?
Well, I think I've seen Thorn of Amethyst on Laboratory Maniacs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Sphere of Resistance and Thorn of Amethyst, they're staples in any tax deck, especially in Legacy. I think the Mishra's Factory deck for Vintage runs just about every single one of those, along with Mishra's Factory and all that, just so because they don't get as punished to cast their mostly artifact-based deck.
You'll see these artifacts like Thorn of Amethyst and Sphere of Resistance in metas or formats where people win by turn 3. And you don't want them to win by turn 3, so you make them slow down.
Make them play fair. We also have something like Mystic Remora. I personally have never played it, but I've always wanted to. And dang it, you know what? It has a cumulative upkeep again.
Yes, it does.
Well,
yeah.
How much is that upkeep?
it's just one. One at the beginning of your upkeep and then 2 on the next one. But it costs 1 blue. And whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, you may draw a card unless that player pays 4 generic.
Yeah. So it's not stopping them from doing it. It's just
No.
you're going to get some benefit if they do.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Ristic Study that hits turn 1, has a slight downside, but on the other hand, you can draw a lot of cards off of this if you get it on turn 1.
Yeah, I don't like this one as much as Ristic Study.
No, I mean, it's much more conditional, but, if you are running Ristic Study, I'm sure you can probably find a spot for Mystic Remora most of the time. It's
Yeah.
also a cheaper card in general, I believe.
Yeah, money-wise and mana-wise, except for the upkeep cost.
Yeah.
But you also don't hit creature spells, whereas Ristic Study does hit creature spells.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next up is Nether Void. 3 and a black. It's a world enchantment. There can only be one world enchantment at a time. Whenever a player casts a spell, counter it unless that player pays 3 more.
Yeah, speaking of extra costs, this thing is pretty hefty. I think this is around 100-ish,
Whoa.
maybe 150-ish. It's an older card.
Wow.
Yeah,
It might be on the reserved list. Let's check that.
I would say yes. I believe it is. It's from Legends, so.
Yeah.
Cause and effect. If it's on the reserve list, it costs more.
Sure is. Sure is on the reserved list.
Yep. So don't buy this one.
Well, no, go for it if you have the money. But there's like 2 reasons why they would never print this card again. Or 3 reasons.
It's out of color pie, for one.
Yep, that's the first reason. The second reason, it's on the reserved list. And the third reason is,
World enchantment?
that's the one. Yep. That's why Concord Crossroads is also not going to be reprinted. It's just I know, it's just such a weird mechanic just to have one world enchantment.
Yeah, that's true. If you want to do this with a commander, though, you've got a couple of options. First one we're going to talk about is Grand Arbiter Augustin IV. Everybody knows this card, probably, but in case you don't, it's 2 white and a blue for a 2/3 Human Advisor. White spells you cast cost 1 generic less to cast. Blue spells you cast cost 1 generic less to cast. Spells your opponents cast cost 1 more to cast. You guys ever build a Grand Arbiter deck?
Yes. My last article was a Grand Arbiter deck. And, honestly, that deck was really starting to get to me because I was having to do a lot of math because I would tax everything uniformly, and then I would also end up having to take away from that same spell as I was casting. And a lot of the times these were also X cost spells, so the X amount would adjust up and down based on how much tax or not tax I had at the moment. Oh.
So you gotta do some math.
Yeah, math happens, and if you happen to be doing a blue and white spell, you do get to discount it twice. So
Sweet.
yeah, so Sphinx's Revelation. So you can tap white, blue, blue, and you automatically get to draw 2 and gain 2 without having to do any extra work.
But you're not gonna do that.
No, you would tap way more if you could get away with it.
Yeah, you would.
Especially at instant speed.
Speaking of instant speed, what if everybody's playing instants on you on their turn? Defense Grid. It's an artifact for 2. Each spell costs 3 more to cast, except during its controller's turn. So if it's my turn, your spells cost more.
No. I was gonna do things though, Nate.
Well, now you're going to do fewer things.
Fine.
Yeah, so maybe play this card in a deck where you don't have so many instants.
Or if you are the combo player and you don't want anybody to counterspell any of your things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is one good point. Even though these cards are anti-spells, some of them also really work well if you're playing spells to keep other spell players from playing spells on your turn.
Yeah. Wait, what?
So Patrick said play Defense Grid if you're playing combo.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're storming off on your turn, Defense Grid helps you to keep other people from stopping you.
So next up, if you are playing artifacts, how about a Lodestone Golem? Artifact creature Golem for 4. It's a 5/3. Who cares? Non-artifact spells cost 1 more to cast. So hope nobody else is playing artifacts.
Well,
Yeah.
even if they are playing artifacts, it's not like they're getting a discount on that.
Yeah. Speaking of other people playing artifacts, we'll move to the next category. You can't do that.
Stop it.
So, Ether Sworn Canonist for 1 and a white, also an artifact creature, human cleric 2/2. Each player who has cast a non-artifact spell this turn can't cast additional non-artifact spells.
Oof.
Can't do it.
This card is rough to play against if you're not playing artifacts.
Yeah, if I'm playing artifacts, I can play a bunch of stuff. But you guys can only play 1.
Oof. Mm-hmm.
That is the very definition of a hate bear right there. It's a 2/2 for 2 with
Roar.
hate.
Yep, super hate.
We also have Mana Maze. 1 and a blue for an enchantment. Players can't play spells that share a color with the spells last played this turn.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually not spells, it's just the most recent spell. So if the most recent spell was red, no one can cast a red spell.
And that's why you always make sure you cast a 5-color instant on other people's turns.
Absolutely.
Are there a bunch of those?
No. It's just, Vidalcan Orrery, Ley Line of Anticipation,
Sure, then you just flash in your Child of Alar on their turn.
Yeah.
Unless they're playing Defense Grid.
Ugh.
Yeah, this card, Mana Maze, I found this when I was writing about Invasion. It also works with Devoid cards, because even though they have a color, the game doesn't recognize, that they have a color because of Devoid.
That's actually a really nice tech there.
Yeah.
Wait, it does work with Devoid?
Yeah.
Well, because you can cast any colorless spell, and any creature with a Devoid is colorless.
Oh, yeah.
Even though you have to use color spells to cast it.
All right. So if you're playing a Devoid deck.
Or artifacts, yep.
Yeah.
And then if you want a temporary effect for stopping spells, this is also a classic kind of effect for combo players. Hope of Girper, 1 colorless, legendary artifact creature, Thopter, with flying. And you can sacrifice Hope of Girper until your next turn. Target player who is dealt combat damage by Hope of Girper this turn can't cast non-creature spells. So you can just shut somebody down for a bit. And if it's a EDH game, it could be a long time before they could do anything. And if that player was a blue player, they probably had a lot of land that they could have tapped for something.
All right. So it's until your next turn.
Yeah.
So a whole wheel of the
Entire
table.
wheel of the table.
Yep.
Yeah.
Surprisingly nasty. I've been beaten to death with the Hope of Girper deck.
Yeah, we all have.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't fun.
So the next category, 1 at a time. All these kind of do the same thing. Eidolon of Rhetoric, 2 and a white. Creature Spirit 1/4. Each player can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. Then there's Curse of Exhaustion, 2 white, enchantment or curse enchant player. Can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. Rule of Law, 2 and a white, enchantment. Can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. Arcane Laboratory, 2 and a blue. Can't play more than 1 spell each turn. Can't do it.
Yep. just puts a stop to that.
Yeah, so these would be good in probably a Vile Smasher deck.
Yeah, or I don't know. What was it that Johnny was just playing? It was pretty good there.
Enchantress.
Yeah.
Karametra Enchantress.
Yeah. And for anyone curious, an eidolon is an idealized person or thing, or it's a specter or a phantom. It's kind of an avatar of an idea. And it comes from the early 19th century, from the Greek language. Started being mentioned in the early 1800s.
Huh. Today I learned.
Huh? Seems like the most popular time for speaking is right before the turn of 1900. So,
Wow.
yeah, that's... We're creeping back up on it. I think Magic the Gathering probably has something to do with that.
It's sort of the
Sweet.
Greek for the zeitgeist, maybe? That's a little bit different.
All right. Up next, we have You Can't Use Those Numbers.
My numbers.
We got Bricella, Voice of Nightmares. That's the merged half of the
Bruna
and
Fading
Gisela.
Light, and Gisela the Broken Blade.
Yep. And
Yeah, so you need white to do that.
Mono white. And while she doesn't have a CMC on the backside, she has the combined CMC of both on the other side.
That's a bunch.
Yeah. Legendary creature, Eldrazi Angel. Flying First Strike Vigilance, Lifelink. That's a lot of Vigilance.
Okay.
Vigilance. Your opponents can't cast spells with converted mana cost 3 or less for a 9/10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of a keyword soup with that little can't cast spells rider thrown on at the end.
Yet another angel with keyword soup.
Sweet.
I really like it. I just wish it didn't make you go through so much work to assemble the pieces.
Yeah. It would have been really sweet if there was a standard deck that featured that.
Yeah.
But never really came together.
Or if the angels had partner, so you could keep them as your commander. We got another Eldrazi that does that. Void Winnower is a very popular one right now. 9 mana for an 11/9. Your opponents can't cast spells with even converted mana costs. 0 is even. That matters sometimes. And your opponents can't block creatures with even converted mana costs.
Yeah, they can't even block each other.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. While mathematicians everywhere will tell you that 0 is not even or odd, it is in fact even in the world of Magic the Gathering.
Whoa.
In all instances, actually. It was specifically defined that way.
So that means no Pact of Negation, no Chrome Mox, no Ornithopter.
Lotus Bloom?
Yeah, no Lotus Bloom.
No suspend cards?
Nope, none of those.
Well, suspend only casting. You can suspend a card. You can cast cards without their mana cost, but so long as the mana cost is...
Oh yeah, suspending isn't casting.
But its converted mana cost is still 0.
Yeah, so it's just a matter of... it depends on what the actual CMC of the spell is.
Yeah, but like Living End, even if you cast it for suspend, the converted mana cost of the card...
is 0.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, on the stack it would be...
Oh. So you can put something into suspension while Void Winnower is out.
Yeah.
But you have to get it off the field.
By the time you're getting it.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. We also got Gaddock Teague.
This jerk.
Yeah, he's real. I mean, just look at that smug face. Green and a white for a 2/2. Classic hate bear right here. Legendary creature, Kithkin Advisor. Non-creature spells with converted mana cost 4 or greater can't be played. Non-creature spells with X in their mana cost can't be played.
Hate that guy.
Aw, he's my friend.
He's one of the... I mean, he's essentially the poster boy for tiny leaders.
Is he? Does he see play there? I don't know.
Well, no, he just pretty much defines what tiny leaders...
He makes the game into tiny leaders.
Oh, sure.
By being on the field.
Which, you know, if maybe you build your deck around abs and hate bears, you're kind of prepared for.
Mm-hmm.
No, that game didn't really go well for me. But still, I'm tweaking it. I'm working on it.
You need a little bit more lands in that deck, Dean.
36 is a pretty good number when your curve is pretty low.
Okay, but you're still 3-color.
I know. I gotta do something with it. We got another card that hates on numbers. Sanctum Prelate just came out in Conspiracy Take the Crown. It's a human cleric for 1 white. As it enters the battlefield, choose a number. Non-creature spells with converted mana cost equal to the chosen number can't be cast.
Yeah, that's the important as clause instead of win.
Right.
With a trigger with win, that's a triggered ability. So that means Panharmonicon could double up on that stuff. But this is an as. It's not a trigger. So you just make a choice and it happens.
Yep. Yeah. I'm not even sure I would run this. I don't know. Would you guys run this in EDH? It feels like if you do run this, you're building around smaller guys, and I don't know. You'd want to name something bigger, like 6 or 4.
Well, if you know there's a combo piece in somebody else's deck,
yeah,
you want to, in that case, it's like a Nevermore with benefits.
I mean, it essentially becomes a Chalice of the Void.
Hey, speaking of which.
Yeah, speaking of which, it's a XX artifact. Chalice of Void enters the battlefield with X charge counters on it. Whenever a player casts a spell with a converted mana cost equal to the number of charge counters on Chalice of the Void, counter that spell.
Yeah, this one's a little bit different in that they can still cast the spell, so if there happens to be a cast trigger on it, they'll get that. Whereas Sanctum Prelate just prevents the spell from being cast.
Mm-hmm. So if you ever manage to get a Chalice of the Void for 10, and somebody tries to, or somebody goes ahead and casts Ulamog, they can still just go ahead and exile Chalice of the Void.
And I think Ulamog still resolves, or no?
No.
No?
He wouldn't.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh well. There's some other stuff that counters things. We've got Dovescape for 3, and then 3 Hybrid Azorius, so either white or blue. Total converted mana cost of 6. It's an enchantment. Whenever a player plays a non-creature spell, counter that spell. That player puts X, 1/1 white and blue bird creature tokens with flying into play, where X is the spell's converted mana cost.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think it was already expensive because it was also in a modern deck.
Aww. Modern?
Yeah.
Not again. Come on, Modern.
Alright. We also have Urtai the Corrupted for 2 white, blue, black. And he has a 3/4 for a wizard legend. He has blue, tap, sacrifice a creature or enchantment, counter target spell.
That's not bad. Repeatable counter spells?
Yeah, those are always good.
Once per wheel of the table.
He is a human wizard.
Oh. Does not look human in that.
Well, he was altered by Phyrexian science, corrupted by black mana, and twisted by rage. Urtai still looked in the mirror and saw only glory.
Oh, that explains so much.
That's an interesting little bit of lore.
Yeah, he's got all those Phyrexian midichlorians in him. Yes, I said it.
Yeah. He's using Force Counterspell. You can see it in the art. Also, I just looked up Dovescape real quick. It looks like it's only at $3.39, so it's not too expensive yet.
Unless you want the foil.
Unless you want the foil, then you're looking at a lot more.
And so far, every card we've mentioned, except for Gaddock Teague, is in the colors of Urtai's white, blue, black. So you can make an Urtai hate everything deck.
No, that wouldn't be...
Yep.
No.
You can put
No
them all in
way.
it. Everything except for Gaddock Teague.
That doesn't sound nice.
No, it sounds awesome.
I would do that. That would be cool. We got anything else in blue?
Yeah, next section, on your turn only. Teferi, Mage of Zalfir, 2 blue, blue, blue. Legendary creature, human wizard, 3/4. He's got flash, do it any time. Creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield have flash. And, here's the thing, each opponent can cast spells only anytime he or she could cast a sorcery.
Seems like a super defense grade, but only for you.
Yeah, he's anti-flash and anti-instant.
Yeah.
But also super flash. Since he gives all your stuff flash.
All your creatures flash.
Yeah.
He's a flash lord.
He's kind of like He's kind of like a prelude to the Phyrexian Praetors, isn't he? He gives you something, and he takes that same thing away from your opponents.
Like the archetypes.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like the archetypes, too.
I mean, if you're in mono blue and you don't have Grand Arbiter.
Yeah. But blue isn't the only color that can do this. So 2 of the more famous cards that do this are Dosan, the Falling Leaf. For 1 green, you get a 2/2 human monk. Players can play spells only during their own turns. Or for 2 and a green, you get City of Solitude, which is an enchantment, and it says each player may play spells and abilities only during his or her turn. So that one shuts down activated abilities as well, which is pretty good for...
That's neat.
Yeah, pretty good for 2 and a green.
Yeah. I mean, also the fact that it's not a creature, kind of a boon for it. Makes it really hard to hit.
Gives a little bit of staying power, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's in the colors of privileged position.
Ooh.
That's gross.
Yeah. Let's not enable the degeneracy of privileged position.
Yeah, instead let's do something else with Possibility Storm.
Everybody does something else.
Yeah.
Whatever you're planning to do,
Eh.
you're going to do something else now.
Yeah. This card has a lot of text to it. It's a lot easier to do in practice, but to describe it in rules makes it confusing. It's 3 red for an enchantment. Whenever a player casts a spell from his or her hand, that player exiles. Then exiles cards from the top of his or her library until he or she exiles a card that shares a card type with it. That player may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then he or she puts all cards exiled with Possibility Storm on the bottom of his or her library in a random order.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So I want to play a Soul Ring. I pay 1, I put a Soul Ring out. Oh no, Possibility Storm. Let's look at my library. So I go through the top of my library until I find an artifact. And then, hey, I play that artifact for free. Soul Ring goes to the bottom. Ta-da!
Did you just turn that 1 mana Soul Ring into a 9 mana Darksteel Forge, Nate?
Hey, maybe.
Oh.
Who knows? Who knows what I did with my scrying?
Oh, you're scrying. Ugh.
That's just gross.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Possibility Storm is nice because you can try to build around it. It is pretty random, but you can always...
No, there's specifically Mishra Artificer Prodigy. That deck. There's a deck built around that character and Possibility Storm.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, too.
It's basically designed to play a 1 mana Soul Ring and get a Darksteel Forge, or Blightsteel Colossus, or whatever you want.
Right, yeah, you just play your cheap stuff and turn it into huge, really expensive things. And your opponents go to counter it, and they whiff with a Brainstorm. Whoops.
You also end up looking for the card you just cast because of his ability out.
Because of Mishra's ability, not because of Possibility Storm.
Right. It's pretty good, that deck.
I've never played against it. I tried looking at it on EDHREC, and I don't know. I couldn't figure out how it worked. It seems pretty combo heavy.
It is.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I like it.
Yeah. I prefer much simpler things, Patrick. Things like Spell Shock. For 2 and a red.
Oh, new category.
Yeah. What's the category, Nate?
Ouch.
Oh, this one hurts. Spell Shock. 2 and a red is an enchantment. Whenever a player casts a spell, Spell Shock deals 2 damage to that player. So you can do it, but it's gonna hurt.
Yeah. I mean, this is good for the initial storm, but it doesn't hit all the storm copies.
Right, because those were not cast.
Yeah.
Still a lot of fun. I run this in Rurikthar as an extra Rurikthar.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What else do you run in Rurikthar?
I run Scab Clan Berserker, which is pretty similar to Spell Shock. For 1 red, you get a 2/2 hasty human berserker with Renown 1, which means when it deals combat damage to a player, if it isn't renowned, it gets a +1/+1 counter and becomes renowned. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, if Scab Clan Berserker is renowned, Scab Clan Berserker deals 2 damage to that player.
Bam.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit of a trick to get a counter on him, but then it's pretty good.
Yeah. It's an extra Spell Shock. It's great.
And for 1 red haste, you're probably going to be able to get a counter on somebody if it comes down on turn 3. most people aren't always full defenses at that point.
Sure, the haste helps, unless you draw it in later on in the game.
Yeah, but at that point, you probably have Spell Shock out or, any number of other ways to hit on spells.
Yeah, certainly, hopefully.
Hey, and that's what Rogue's Passage is always for.
Yeah, that's true.
Speaking of more dealing damage when things get hurt, we got Tovalar's Mage Hunter. This is a werewolf. On the day side, it's a human shaman werewolf, and it only has, at the beginning of each upkeep, if no spells were cast last turn, transform Mandarin Shaman. But on the night side, that's where we get the fancy one, where it's just essentially the same one. Same as the Scab Clan Berserker. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, Tovalar's Mage Hunter deals 2 damage to that player. And it has the cast 2 spells and you flip it back around. So,
yeah.
I've tried Mandarin and Shaman in my Rurikthar, and I didn't get much use out of it.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah, I built Rurikthar originally to be Werewolf Tribal, and it was just not fun.
I mean, hard enough. I mean, fair enough. You're asking a lot for it. At the very least, people can always just shut it off after taking 4 damage. So it's kind of...
Right, exactly. Once they cast 2 spells, they take their damage and it flips back to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Scab Clan Berserker is a little bit more conditional, or I don't know, it's a different condition. Slight downside on the ability, but I think I'd still just run that for what it does.
Mm-hmm.
So this next one I threw in here, it's relevant, came up recently. Harsh Mentor, 1 in a red. Creature human cleric, it's a 2/2. It's a hate bear in red, yay! Whenever an opponent activates an ability of an artifact, creature, or land on the battlefield, if it isn't a mana ability, Harsh Mentor deals 2 damage to that player. So I don't know if this is really anti-storm, but I like it.
Yeah, it's Will Smith the card.
He's got his sneer game on.
Yeah, this is a good card. I also put this in Rurikthar when it was printed.
I would not be surprised if it sees modern play, to be honest.
Yeah, it seems like it definitely could go there.
Yeah. Get some affinity hate going.
Yeah. The only thing is it doesn't hit Planeswalkers, which is a little bit regrettable.
Man.
Oh well. So some more deal damage stuff. We got Pyrostatic Pillar. 1 in a red. For an enchantment, whenever a player plays a spell with converted mana cost 3 or less, Pyrostatic Pillar deals 2 damage to that player. Wait a second, I think I know that card. That sounds just like Eidolon of the Great Revel.
Eidolon.
Oh, Eidolon of the Great Revel. We just learned that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Red for an enchantment creature spirit for a 2/2. Whenever a player casts a spell with converted mana cost 3 or less, Eidolon of Great Revel deals 2 damage to that player.
Yeah.
Hey, what if you're in red and you have an X spell where it's like red, and X? What's the mana cost of that?
So X spells, while they're in your hand, have converted mana cost equal to whatever the printed numeric value is, but on the stack, the converted mana cost will be equal to whatever the printed value is plus X. So if you have a fireball for red and X, and you cast it for X is 4, it'll have a converted mana cost of 5.
So it won't trigger the Pyrostatic Pillar.
Correct.
Okay. Good to know.
All right.
How about this next guy? We love this guy. Rurikthar the Unbowed. Unbowed?
Oh, he's unbowed.
You can't bow him. 4, red-green, legendary creature, ogre warrior, 6/6, vigilance and reach. Not bad. He attacks each turn if able. Well, okay. But you don't have to tap him because he's got vigilance. Hey, whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, and that includes you, Rurikthar deals 6 damage to that player.
So just don't play any non-creature spells.
Right.
It's like getting punched in the face every single time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love playing this against players playing Brainstorm, Ponder, Preordain. Just pay 1 blue and take 6. Pay 1 blue and take 6.
Hey, if you can get a grafted exoskeleton on him,
Whoa.
that could do
That's
something.
that's not friendly.
Hey, just throwing ideas out there.
Yeah, we're just brainstorming here. The wink.
So this next guy, I like this guy
Yeah,
too.
he's fun.
Kumbal, Consul of Allocation, 1, white, black, legendary creature, human advisor, 2/3. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, that player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. So grafted exoskeleton does not work with this guy. But it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like this guy a lot. I've been putting him in a lot of decks.
Me too.
Yeah, he's pretty much an auto-include in Orzhov colors.
Yeah, definitely. Handy for anything where you want to pay some life, like, oh, now I'm brain farting. It's a black spell where you pay life and get a really big thing.
What kind of big thing?
Oh, I don't know any big thing. Trying to think of my black deck that runs a lot of stuff that pays life. Oh, how about, he's nice for fueling necropotence.
Sure.
Or anything like that.
Or Timna.
Sure, Timna. Yep. Timna's kind of like a Phyrexian Arena on a stick. So paying life to draw cards, Kumbal will get you there.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
I really like Timna. Timna is a great card.
And if you really want to punish people for leaving open mana, we can do Stone Shaker Shaman, 2 and a red for a 1/1. At the end of each player's turn, that player sacrifices an untapped land.
Yeah.
Really punish those counterspell players.
Tap your lands.
Yeah,
Just do it.
Baral is not going to like this card.
Mm-mm.
On the bright side, there's no longer mana burn, so this card got worse.
Yeah, I don't know. It still does what it's supposed to do against blue decks.
Yeah, but it doesn't hurt them as well.
Maybe not as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as good, but it's still good. If I'm running a spell hate deck, I would run this.
Yeah, definitely.
So the next one I put in here, it's a spell hate card. Dryad Militant. You can pay green for it, or you can pay white. It's a creature Dryad Soldier, 2/1. If an instant or sorcery card would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead.
Yeah, this seems like a very Nate card. I love exiling things.
Yeah, if this were an elf, I would use it a lot. But it's not. And I don't play green-white that much. So I use Deathrite Shaman instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you run this in a non-red deck?
Dryad Militant?
Yeah. Would you run this in like a, I don't know, an Atraxa build or something like that? A non-red build?
I don't know. Maybe a Anafenza.
Oh, Anafenza sounds really good.
Anafenza the Foremost.
Oh, right. Yeah, because she exiles creatures, and this would get rid of the other kinds of things.
Yeah, I'd get rid of a couple. Then you maybe get, I don't know, Geth Lord of the Vault for any artifacts that are left over.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Next section here. Your spells help me. We've got Mana Gorger Hydra. For 2 and a green, you get a 1/1 Hydra with Trample. Whenever any player casts a spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Mana Gorger Hydra. This guy gets ridiculously big.
Very quickly at that. You get him down real early, and woof, goes big very quick.
Yeah, some similar cards are Forgotten Ancient for 3 and a green. It's a 0/3. It gets a counter whenever a player casts a spell, and you can move them around. And then Torian Mauler and Ishai Ojutai Dragon Speaker, they both get a counter if your opponents do something. But the green ones, you can do it too.
Yeah, and Ishai is a little bit better than Torian Mauler because Ishai has a little bit of evasion with flying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see. Up next, we have Heartwood Storyteller. 1 green for a 2/3 tree folk. Whenever a player plays a non-creature spell, each of that player opponents may draw a card.
This is a fun card.
Do you use this in your group hugs?
I do. I run this in Krufix, and I also run this in Rurikthar. Rurikthar is just trying to punish people playing anything that's not a creature. Krufix, actually, I don't mind people drawing cards off of my non-creature spells because I'm trying to hug them to death. So I want them to draw out.
I imagine in Rurikthar you're usually pretty hurting for card draw anyway.
Surprisingly not. Not recently. added some non-creature draw spells, which hurt me, but they're worth it. So I've got like Zendikar Resurgent, and what else do I have in this deck? I think I've got Regal Behemoth, which gives you the Monarch, so that's nice.
How about the Humble Defector?
Don't run Humble Defector. That's something I might run in like a Zedruu build.
Do you also run Dragonlair Spider? 2 red, green.
I do.
For a 5/6 spider. Reach. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, create a 1/1 green insect creature token.
Why would a spider make insects?
That's always been my confusion about the card.
Yeah, it should have made spider tokens.
Yeah.
I think most of these kinds of cards do. Does Arachnogenesis make insects or spiders?
Spiders.
Oh, it does make spiders. Oh.
Yeah, 2 spiders with reach.
Yeah, they didn't think this one through. Come on, wizards. Get with it here.
Well, maybe they designed Arachnogenesis after this one was already too late to do anything with.
Oh, that's true. I think spiders got really big in Innistrad, and Dragonlair Spider came out in Alara before Innistrad, so...
Yeah, I think it's actually might have to do with the token problem that Amonkhet also hit, is they only have room for so many kinds of tokens, and so they kind of have to make compromises on what's going on.
Oh yeah, that's true too.
Yeah. Too bad they can't just errata that.
Yeah, that would be nice.
All right.
So is that it?
Yeah, I think that's it for anti-spell.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Short of running a whole bunch of counter spells.
Yep, that'll do it.
Nothing wrong with that.
No. But then, are you becoming your own worst enemy?
Maybe?
Probably, yeah.
If you can face yourself in the mirror the next day, I think it's okay.
Yeah, what did Urtai say? He faced his...
Oh, he only saw glory.
Yeah, Urtai still looked in the mirror and saw only glory. He didn't see the rest of his Phyrexian stuff.
Yeah.
Just glory.
Be like Urtai, guys. See the glory.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
We played some games lately.
Yeah.
Whoa.
What?
Some games were played.
Our last game.
What'd you play, Nate?
All right, this one I played Rakdos Lord of Riots. It's a Eldrazi kind of ally sub-theme.
I was playing Tassiger the Golden Fang. It's actually the list that Jeremy Knoll runs. I've been trying to expand my range and really try to figure out maybe something else I like doing besides just comboing off. And yeah, that's what I ran. I just really wanted to see what other people put together.
Yeah, it was pretty good, your Tasker list. And then I was playing the new Grenzo Havoc Razor from Conspiracy Take the Crown. And that got out of hand a little bit.
Yeah, you got started fast.
Grenzo comes down turn 2 every game, so it can be hard to play around him.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Turns out Lord of the Void is very good versus Rakdos Lord of Riots.
Especially when you can make Grenzo make him attack other people.
Yeah, so Rakdos Lord of Riots tends to have large creatures in it. A lot of them. And Lord of the Void, you can exile stuff out of my deck and just take one.
Cast it for free. Or you don't even cast it, do you?
I just put it into play. Yeah.
Yeah, so you might miss a trigger or two that way. But hey, you get a 9/10.
I'm okay with that deal.
With Annihilator or something.
Next game we played was...
Oh, wait. We gotta
say how it ended.
We gotta talk about this combo here.
All right, go for it.
So it turns out Hanweir Garrison, that red guy who makes the 2 extra red guys.
Yeah, it's 2 and a red, and when it attacks, you put 2 1/1 red soldiers, I believe, into play tapped and attacking along with it.
And they don't have to be attacking the same player.
That's true. And then, so Hanweir Garrison plus Breath of Fury, which is an enchantment from Original Ravnica, 2 and a red. Whenever the creature enchanted with the Breath of Fury deals damage to a player, you can sacrifice that creature and take another combat step. If you do, you can attach Breath of Fury to a new creature. So Hanweir Garrison makes the tokens, and then if they have haste, you can pretty much just take infinite combat steps.
Yeah, as long as you have a way of getting one guy through to deal some combat damage to a player.
Right. How do you guys remember how I was enabling at that game? Did I have something giving me menace, or?
I think I just didn't have any blockers, so you could send one guy at me and the rest the other way.
Yep.
Or something like that.
Yep, that works.
Yep, and we died very quickly soon after that.
Yeah. Grenzo's pretty good. In the early game, he goads your opponent's creatures, making them attack other people. And then in the late game, once he's ramped a little bit, he steals really good cards off the top of their decks.
But you gotta pay that mana.
Right.
Big mana red.
But you can cast it like it's any color. Grenzo lets you cast cards as though your mana was any color, so gets around some of the restrictions that some other cards have, like Daxos of Miletus. Maybe not Daxos.
Well, you can spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast it.
Okay.
Oh, what am I thinking of? Maybe Night Veil Spectre?
No, probably send triplets.
Yep, send triplets and Night Veil Spectre. Night Veil Spectre lets you play cards exiled with the Spectre, but it doesn't let you change the color of mana.
All right, do I want to talk about another game?
Yeah, I liked it because I won.
Man. Okay, the next one. I was playing my Mare Bear deck. That's the Marieki Ribéry, and she takes everybody else's creatures. Or if you get her on the field, nobody casts any creatures anymore.
Mare Bear was...
Because they don't want me to take her.
Mare Bear was rough. You got a nice lockdown with Dictate of Erebos.
Yeah, and then I put a Greater Oromancy to lock that in.
Yeah, you did. I was playing Krufix Group Hug. Everybody gets big hands, big mana, big plays, and then I try to stop people from winning and make them draw their deck.
We were also playing with AZ, who was doing Rakdos. He was trying to do Warstorm Surge and Living Death.
Oh, it didn't try to do it. It did
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't finish out the game, though.
Well, it finished out me.
Yes.
Oh, were you the first to die? I thought AZ was the first to die.
Oh, no, he was kind of salty at me.
Yeah.
I think understandably so. You were interfering with his plans pretty directly.
Yeah, I exiled his Rakdos twice on his turn.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. I mean, my early game was Get Out Ramp, and I had Padim in my hand almost the entire game, but I was just refusing to play him because if Nate ever took Padim, that was just going to lock everybody else out of the game at that point.
Yay.
Yeah, the game was rough. I think, so how did it go? Nate died, and then AZ died, and then it was you and I.
Yep.
And then we decimated the board. If you play Sunder, make sure you can win the game that turn, because I played Sunder when I had a lot of mana floating on Krufix, and Patrick pulled shenanigans.
Yeah. I also managed to do my favorite combo in that deck, which is to put Lotus Bloom exiled under Prototype Portal, so you can just get free Lotus Blooms every turn.
That was pretty good.
And then we got to the point where I had Mechanized Production on Clues, Tamio's Journal out, and Paradox Haze. So I was creating 4 token Clues every upkeep. And I was going to win on that trigger, and then Dean bounced everything to our hands. Yeah. So in response, I time-saved my Clues so I could take another turn. And eventually lands returned to our hands, and that's when Dean had been at 6 life for quite some time, so I just played Saheeli Rai and just kept ticking her up to deal 1 damage to Dean until he died.
And I could have won it if Patrick would have ulted Saheeli, but he didn't. He just kept on ticking her up.
I only had like 12 cards in my library. The chances are I didn't even have 3 artifacts to look for.
I know, but some people just jump at the chance to ult it, and you didn't, which was the right play, unfortunately. I think I had Disallow, so if you had ulted Saheeli, I would have countered the ultimate, and then you would have had a dead Saheeli.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was a fun and very hard fought game.
It was good fun though. Because I won.
Because you won.
All right. Time for the pets update. Pets update. Murder.
Hey, you know how cats usually aren't supposed to like water?
Most of the
Yeah.
time, yeah.
Yeah, ours likes to jump in the shower while we're taking a shower.
Just hang out.
Well, just like jump between the curtain and the bathtub and just get their feet wet and then hang out a little bit and then jump out and put footprints everywhere.
Huh.
I think that's fun because it's like flirting with danger for a cat, right? You just kind of sidle up next to it, but you don't actually have to get in the evil water.
I guess. I mean, they are getting wet a little bit, but they're both doing it.
Hmm.
One of them's got a pretty good flying tackle to open the bathroom door.
Oh, impressive. Wow. You'll have to get that on tape and put that in the show notes, Nate.
That'll be tough. I'm a wildlife photographer now.
It's not wildlife, though. It's domesticated life.
Yes, but it's still a game of patience.
That's true. For my update, our cat Miri, named after Miri the Cursed and Miri... What's the original Green Miri?
Cat Warrior?
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, my daughter can't say Miri, so my cat has gone from a cool magic name to Mimi, which is not a cool magic name.
It's a mimeoplasm.
Yeah, it became official the other day when I unthinkingly just called the cat Mimi, and I'm like, oh, that's really your official name now, isn't it?
Yeah. Things you do for your children, Dean.
Yeah, I'm sure you get all kinds of fun pronunciations at work, Patrick.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's true. It doesn't help that I'm the one who's trying to help them to learn, too.
Yeah.
With my very clumsy tongue. But as for Talon, he has decided that cream cheese is the best kind of cheese. If offered two kinds of cheese, he will go for the cream cheese first, and then to the other kind of cheese. And he has also discovered that if you put cream cheese on cheese, that might be the best kind of meal of all time.
Ooh.
I heard you like cheese.
Yeah.
So I put some cheese on your cheese.
Yeah.
So you can eat while you eat?
So you can cheese while you eat cheese?
Yeah. Now you gotta get some of that disgusting canned Cheese Whiz stuff and put that on top for him.
You have no idea how happy he would be.
I don't know if that's good for him.
Probably awful.
They actually use that Cheese Whiz as a motivator for physical therapy on dogs.
Oh, really? It's that good for them, huh? It's like
Yeah.
doggy cocaine.
They really want it. Like if it's something that the little dog wants or something, you put it on like a little piece of glass in front of a
What?
on a treadmill, and they'll try to get to the cheese while using the treadmill.
Oh, like a sheet of glass.
Yeah.
Like a little
I thought you meant
glass
like
dish
No,
or
not a
something.
shard.
of broken
No.
glass or something. That's definitely not good.
Yeah, no. That's the opposite of a motivator for a dog.
All right.
Yeah, so don't do that.
And probably don't just give them Cheese Whiz either. Just maybe give them a little bit to motivate them.
Yeah. Get out there and work for this Cheese Whiz.
I think you still got to check the ingredients.
It's cheese-like product.
My dog cleans up after a 2-year-old all day. Probably the Cheese Whiz is the least horrible thing she'll eat in a day.
That's likely true.
So those are our pet updates. You can tweet your pet updates to @commandtime. And if you don't have a pet, maybe think about adopting one. This week's adoptable pet is Sophia at Saved by a Whisker Rescue in Eagan, Minnesota.
Yeah.
And she is a really cute...
Oh, look at those green eyes.
Yeah. She's an American Shorthair. She's got a little black nose. She looks kind of like the Scarecrow from Wizard of Oz.
She sure does. Yeah. So feel free to inquire about adopting them.
Yep. We'll tweet a link to Sophia, actually, when this episode comes out.
And don't forget to tweet us your pet updates yourself. We have loved the photos you have sent us already.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah. More pets on the tweets.
A+.
Pets with magic cards this time. Give us some pets with magic cards.
Show us what you got.
All right. So next time on Commander Time.
Yeah, what are we doing next time?
I think we're doing article reviews.
All right.
Sure.
We'll do some articles.
Yeah. Sounds good.
But yeah, articles.
All right. Are we teasing our next articles that we're talking about, or no?
I can talk about my Crown article where I built 2 decks.
Ooh. I'll talk about taxes.
But you just did.
Yeah, I know, but there's combos to be had. Combos.
Okay. Fine.
And by the time this comes out, I'll probably talk about something from Time Spiral Block.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a spicy block.
Yeah, maybe Future Sight. That's one of my favorite. All the weird sets, those are my favorite sets. So, Time Spiral, Planar Chaos.
Because they have cards named after them.
Yeah, well, that's not the only reason they're weird, but definitely one of the things that's unusual. It's the reverse, actually. The set is named after the card.
Oh, okay. Not many sets do that.
Just those 3. Time Spiral, Planar Chaos, and Future Sight. Though some other cards did have a set with the same name, like, what was the third set in Shards of Alara? Conflux. There was a card called Conflux, and there was a set called Conflux. So, but that was within the same set.
They were both named after the event of the conflux.
Right. Whereas these sets got their names from cards that came well before them.
The more you know. Visit us at patreon.com/commandertime.
You can find me on Twitter at Grubfellow.
At Detective Yarmus.
At Mr. Plorg.